Hello everybody, Vinny MC here, and this is part 2 of my series called Cryengine Beginner's Guide to Characters. In this part 2 we will be importing Mixamo animations into 3ds Max and exporting to the Cryengine. We will be setting up the animations in Cryengine and creating the files required. So let us begin. The first thing we want to do is we want to ensure some files are created before we do anything. So we'll go to our project, animations, and the first file we need to change is called skeletonlist.xml. So we'll open that up. Now basically you have to add in where your skeleton resides and point to it and give it a name. So all you need to do is copy this line here, paste it underneath, and fill in your own information. This is the skeleton is called Maria, and she resides in Objects, Characters, Maria folder, and her name is Maria_skell.chr that we created in our part 1. Once we've added that in, we save it, and we now go back up to Assets. We go to our objects, we go to our characters, Maria, and now we have to create a CHR params file, a parameters file for our skeleton. Now basically it's right here, I've created it already. It must be a .chr params, must be the extension. The file name actually must match the CHR file, which is mariaskell.chr. mariaskell.chr params. So what you can do is open this up in Notepad. It has a few basic pointers to where things are to go. The first pointer is going to be to the animation event database, where you want that to be located, and its path is going to be animations Maria, where the folder is, and I'm going to call it Maria Anna events. Now, any events are basically events that play during the animation, like say particles going off or sounds of footsteps, etc. Now the next is the track database, and that's going to be in animations Maria, and as we said before, that when we created our folders, that we made a subfolder called DBA, and that's where it's going to reside, and it's going to give it any name it wants to. I really don't care. That's for when you bundle and package up your animations, or package up your game. It will create the DBA files, which are basically groups of files that are loaded into memory and kept there, so it's easier for pulling them or easier for playing them with if they're constant animations within the game, but we're not going to worry about creating that right now. The next is going to be the actual file path where the animations reside, and they're going to be in animations Maria. And then we're going to point to the file extensions that you want the system to look for, or the editor to look for when it loads up the animations. So you want to make sure that you want to find all the .i_caf files, or a Crytek animation file, or all the .caf files, all the .b space files or blend space files, and all the .combo files or combination files, okay? Once you've added all those in, you save your file, and now you're ready to begin the importing exporting process. So what you do is open up your 3ds Max, load up your character from part 1, which is our Maria character. As you can see, she's in her T-pose, which is back facing forward in the Crytek way. Now what you want to do is ensure that you can do this now, is open up your Max Utilities, get it to the animation section. Now the first thing we want to do is import our first animation, so we go to Import, we go to our Assets, Animations Maria, and like I said, I put them in the source ones. There's your idle there. We'll highlight that and open it. No need to check the FBX settings if they should all be the same as described in part 1. We say OK. Now the thing is here, because the animations from Mixamo when they were saved as FBX were in Mixamo format, she is facing the wrong direction from Crytek's format, so it automatically was switched to the Mixamo direction. Now this is easily corrected and it's already built into the CE Max utils. So what we basically do is go down here under animations, we make sure animations is highlighted. We go down here, go down, where it says reorientate global motion. So it's now asking you that it wants to reorientate the animation itself. So it's saying, well, what's the pelvis bone? Well, we go up here to our Scene Explorer. We open up the root. Because the hips are the pelvis bone, it's always right underneath the root. So we say hips. And we go here to this little arrow and we click there to ensure that it's selected the hips. Now all we want to do is reorient that animation or global motion. So we just say reorient global motion direction or animation direction. Boom, there you see her. She's reorientated now back to the Crytek pose. Now what we have to do is, because the animations are on the hips and Crytek expects the animations to be on the root, we have to copy the animations from the hips to the root. That's already, of course, built into the CE Max utils. Now what we have to do here is go down to where it says extract pelvis motion, and we go from what bone, and it says pelvis bone, so we got to go back up here and ensure our hips or pelvis bone is still highlighted, and we hit that little arrow. Now it's going to say, where do you want to extract it to? Well, you want to extract it to the root. So you go back up to here and you pick the root right here. This is the character root we created in part 1, and we click that, and then we say extract the motion. There you go, the motion's all extracted. Everything's ready to export it as an actual animation file. Now what we go to do is we go back up here to export. Okay, we go back up here where it says export folder, down to where it says animation. Now it's going to say, well, where's the CHR? What skeleton's the animation going to export from? And we pick the actual skeleton, which was Maria's skull. And then we highlight this layer, we click there to make sure it's highlighted. Now it's going to save the animations in a folder called animas, and that's going to be in the default assets, objects, characters is going to create a folder called animas. You can actually point to the folder down here to where it is, but I'd like to just all leave them here and copy them all over. Then what it does is say, what's the animation name? Well, the animation name is idle, so here's where we type in idle. And then we just hit the ICAF button to create the animation. And there you go, it's all created. Now we can basically just continue the process with the other animations. Import. Idle look around. I'll make sure I copy this name so I don't need to retype everything. So I'll just copy the idle look around. Bring that one in, same way, say OK. Of course, the animation is switched around. We'll have to redo that again. So we go back up to our animations. Because we go back up here and we're going to reorientate this animation again. Oops, sorry, I've got that animations unticked. We want to reorientate global motions. It's asking for our pelvis bone again, so we'll make sure we select that. Hips, which is our pelvis bone. We go there, hips. Now we want to reorient global animation direction again. There, she's back to our global animation there. Now what we want to do is extract that animation to the root again. So we know our hips is still there, so it's still selected. So we just hit hips, make sure that it says hips. Then we'll go to where we want to extract it to, and we want to extract it to again, our root. And then we pick the root, and we say, oops, sorry, pick the root. Oops, I mustn't have selected it. root. Select that, ensure it's our character export root, and then we extract the motion. There you go. Now it's all ready to export. We go to up to our export section, and then we go to where's our skeleton for the animation. Well, what skeleton is it again? So we go back up here to our skeleton. We can all do this in batch mode, but I'm doing it slowly so everybody can understand it. So Maria Skell, pick our Skell. All right, it's in that animations folder, and we're going to call it idle look around, like we copied. Idle look around, and then we extract that. Now, if you don't close these out, you can keep the base settings, so I won't close the animations or export folders out, and I'll show you how that's done. We'll import the next one, which is the jumping one. Import that. As you can see, it's back again, backwards or reversed, so we'll make sure that our animation section is open. Hips is already selected, so we don't, because we never closed everything is selected correctly, so our hips is. All we have to say is reorientate the global motion again. Now, as you can see, everything's the same because we never closed it out. The hips are selected, the actual export root is selected, and we want to extract that motion to the root, so we extract it. Now we can go back up here to our export. Make sure that's highlighted, and the export we go down to the export selection right here. And we export this animation, everything's selected, Maria Skell, because we never closed it out. Now here's where we paste in the jump, or I never copied it, so I'll have to just type in jump, or jump name of the animation. And we just export that CAF file, and there's that animation done. Now we'll load up the next one. Import walking backwards. Okay. As you can see, once you start going on this, it gets kind of easy because everything is pre-selected. As long as you don't close these out, everything's kind of pre-selected for you. So as you can see, the hips are still selected. We reorientate the global animation direction. We go down to here to our animation, and we go to extract our, extract. We've already reorientated. Now we go to our extract pelvis from the hips to the root, and they're already selected, so we just say extract the motion. There you go. And then we go down to our export. And this is now walk backwards, so we're going to rename it walk backwards. As you can see, the CHR is still the same. So walk underscore backwards. Okay. And then we want to export that. There you go. And then the final one is walk forward. So import walking. Say okay. Go back here. Reorientate the global motion. Hips is selected. Reorientate global animation direction. Extract pelvis motion. The hips are still there. The export root is still there. We extract the motion. We go down to export. We call the Maria is still highlighted. We make sure walk backwards is now called walk forwards. Oops, sorry. And then we export that animation. And basically we're finished. We don't want to save this because we want to keep the T-pose as is, so we just say reset, or exit or reset, depending upon what you're doing. And make sure you say don't save. You want to keep that T-pose, so don't save it. So now what we want to do is copy all of those ICAF files we created from where they reside from the default, which is objects, characters, Maria, and you'll see now the animation folder, and there's our idle, our look around, our jump, walk backwards, walk forwards. We copy these, or cut them, and we go to our assets, animations, Maria, and this isn't the source, this is the main one, so we just paste it to the root of this directory of animations Maria, so they're all sitting right there. And we download that. Now we have to open up our Cryengine and start setting these animations up within the character editor. So we open up our project, which is third person tutorial. And because we set up those files originally at the very start, the skeleton list file and the CHR params file, it should find everything quite nice by now. So what we'll do is open up our character, and that's Maria, and Maria CDF. There, now as you can see under animations, you're going to see a drop down box, and there's all your animations, idle, look around, jump, etc. Now what you can do over here is when you pick your idle animation, and you can see it's right there. Now what you do here is you can tell whether, this is where you can set it up to tell the system that it's an additive or not. So idle, because it's not an additive, I'm just going to leave it. Its skeleton alias is Maria. And here's when you import this and say import, it will actually create your compression file, which is used for compressing the animation and also used to set up, and tell the system whether it's an additive or not. Then we go to our look around animation, and we do the same thing, but this time when we import, before we import, it's an additive, so we make sure this little box here is ticked off, it's an additive, okay. And then we go over to our idle look around and we import that to create the file. And there's the compression file created. Then we go to our jump animation, okay, and we basically say it's not an additive, it's basic the way it is, so we say import it. It creates the compression file. Then we say walk forwards, okay, basic. Now we say import that one. It's not an additive, so we import that animation. There, basically all of our animations have been imported, and we have no other worries, so we can go and save everything. Go to File, Save All. Now that we've got all of our animations set and everything is ready to go, we can actually go and do some testing on this. And we can open up the file. I'm not sure if we should do the testing now or at a later time once we get the mannequin files all set up. Let's check out and see whether that's part of this part. So then creating, no, so that will be in part 3, that we'll go through that. So right now all we need is just to check out, and we can see their animations are working and everything's fine. So basically that's the end of part 2. Thank you very much for tuning in, and looking forward to talking to you in part 3. Cheers.